It's TWSN. You ain't heard about us yet, well you better know now, because it's the place that it all goes down.
And welcome back to another edition of the TWSN Tailgate Show. As always, I am Matt Levine, your host, joined by my two co-hosts, Josh Northcutt, and our semi-regular, pretty much permanent at this point, co-host, Bill Sparks. How are you guys doing today? Bill, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Matt. We're 2 weeks left in the regular season, so I'm starting to get disappointed, but also at the same time, that means playoff talk is ramping up. But at this point, I need an air sickness bag because this coaching carousel is whipping around at 100 miles an hour, and I don't know if I can keep up with it. We're going to talk about some of it today, But Josh, how are you doing, man?
I think you described it perfectly. This fact that I wake up and the first thing I look at when I see Twitter is just rumors left and right, and having to scurry through whether it's fake news or it's just fans messing with other fans, or if it's real life things that are possibly going to happen. We obviously had the first domino fall, and we've kind of talked about it, but I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit now. But as you mentioned, then there's the playoffs. I mean, it's 2 weeks away till we find, or about 2.5 weeks away, until we find out who is going to be playing and what 12 teams are going to make it in a year that feels wide open. Because as much as Ohio State has been dominant and as much as Indiana has looked good, they're not exactly truly battle tested compared to years past. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Yeah, well, and we will touch on all of this in a few minutes here, but we got to go over something. Josh, we can't keep doing this, man. We can't keep doing we cannot keep doing. We can, for anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about. Josh and I have been tied for 3 weeks on this record for our pick'em. He blew a 10-11 game lead a couple weeks ago, and now we just cannot break this tie. I was distraught Saturday when Alabama lost because I was like, oh my God, now if Texas wins, I'm going to be down 2 games. But then Georgia obviously won. We're tied again. I don't know why we can't break this tie. We got 2 more weeks, Josh. Something has to give, right?
I'm going to say, I'm getting sick of sending the late Saturday night text that we're just going to dance like this forever. You're just my dancing partner at ties, and we're never going to break this tie. But I do need to say, that's a 4-2 for me, a 4-2 for you. Billy boy.
What happened?
Well, I will admit that me picking Pitt was probably not the smartest move. For what it's worth, Iowa looked good in that first half. But I think somebody forgot to tell Kirk Ferentz there was a second half of football coming. Same for Texas and Georgia. I did get BYU right, but we all got BYU right. I think everybody outside of anyone in the state of Texas got BYU right. But hey, you know what? You have one down week. You come back, you get on the horse, and you try it again, which I'm ready to do this week after we talk some stuff.
But you know what I do want to point out, Bill? I have to give you some credit here. I believe we started fully counting your record 4 weeks into the season, something like that, maybe 5 weeks in. You're almost at the same amount of wins as us. So even if you had this win, I was thinking about this. I looked at the records the other day. I'm like, wait a minute. Bill wasn't being counted the first few weeks. So this is on me and Josh. What are we doing?
I do want to add one thing. The pick'em thing, the college football, Cliff 316 or 613 is running away with it. Feel free, if you're still watching and listening, or follow us on Twitter. Let us know who you are, because I don't know who it is. I want to give him credit because he's top 99% in the entire nation with his picks. He's been impressive. But I know it's a college football show, but NFL-wise, gentlemen, we're 1, 2, and 3. Did you know that?
I did.
I looked up the NFL. We are literally 1, 2, and 3.
I think I'm in first.
You are.
I am. Yeah, I am. Anyways, we will go back to college football. As much as I would love to gloat about my NFL, my pick record, I can't speak. Pick record. We're not going to do that today. We have a lot to talk about here. But, as we do every single week, just want to remind everyone, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video. We're putting content out all the time. Every single week we're here. It really means a lot. We appreciate everyone's support. But let's get into this a little bit. We saw some interesting results last week. Just going to talk about it quickly before we get into some of the other things going on. My biggest thing is I have been very anti-Oklahoma for most of this year. I mean, anyone that's watched the show, like, obviously they're a good team. I thought they were good, but I wasn't sold on Oklahoma. Yes, Josh, we know you were a homer for Oklahoma. They surprised me a little bit. Granted, Alabama didn't play very well in that game. But to go on the road and win a game like that, that shows a lot of guts to me. What do you guys make of Oklahoma? Do you think that they can realistically contend for a title? I'm not just talking about a playoff spot, like a title. Can they go through the playoff and do something? Josh, I'm going to give you the floor because you've been pro Oklahoma all year long.
It all depends what John Mateer shows up.
Yep.
They won that game a lot because of their defense. Their defense made that big play. But if Mateer is at that level that he was versus Michigan, I don't know if he can find that guy again because he hasn't been there since that game. But if he can find that in himself, they are absolutely contenders because their defense will keep them in every single game. Bill?
I agree. I think their defense will keep them in every single game. But I think the biggest statistic for me from Oklahoma that keeps them in the game is the one statistic where you want a 0 on the scoreboard, and it's turnovers. They didn't turn the ball over against Alabama. They actually forced 3 turnovers, and this was an Oklahoma team that was 118th in turnover margin. If they can just stop turning it over and giving their opponents short fields and let that defense, like you talked about, go to work, Josh, this team can be pretty dangerous. But if they start fumbling the ball left and right, if Mateer starts throwing risky interceptions and now they're forced to play from behind, they just don't have the horses that other teams do. So I think if they can stay clean and play clean football, this Oklahoma team's got a good shot.
And what I find incredible is we talked about this at the beginning of the season. Their schedule has been brutal, like absolutely brutal, and they have withstood everything. Granted, they have 2 more games, Missouri, and then I believe that last game, I think we'll talk about the Missouri game in a minute, but that last game, home against LSU, I know a lot of people are going to pencil in a W, but that is a trap game to me. A full trap game for an LSU team that can knock off Oklahoma. But we don't need to talk about Oklahoma as much. Anything you guys want to talk about from last week? What impressed you, Josh?
Can I go first
for
once?
Yeah, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Josh, you go. It's up to you.
It's going to kind of lead way into the carousel talk later on, but I have to ask, is Steve Sarkisian the man for the job at Texas? Boys, he lost another big game again, and he is owned by Georgia. They got smacked. Absolutely embarrassed. And don't get me wrong, the tide changed with that onside kick when all momentum went Georgia's way. But Sark is basically James Franklin down there at Texas right now. His record versus top 10, 15 teams haven't been good. He has not been able to beat the likes of Georgia. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think he might be 500 versus Alabama, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But close to it. It's within 1 to 2 games.
Correct. And he's floating around with Oklahoma on a year-to-year basis. He's James Franklin. And we watched Penn State literally fire James Franklin a year after an interception, one bad pass by Drew Waller from going to the national championship. The man was fired less than 12 months later.
I think that was more of a culmination of multiple years.
That's fair, but
I think with Sark, I think you have to give him 1 more year because you have to let him have Arch Manning have some experience. Because, like, as we've talked about, he came into this season basically as a freshman. He didn't have much experience. He's looked the part in some areas, and some areas he's looked like he hasn't had experience. Teams have been able to exploit him a little bit. Now, if they come back next year, right, and Texas underperforms again, then that conversation gets really interesting. But for right now, I think Sark is the man for the job. I think he can do it. He proved it the last 2 years. He has revived Texas football a little bit, and I think he's the one that can get them over the hump. But Arch Manning is going to have to do something for him.
I don't think he's the man for the job anymore, and that's my key. I don't know who you get to replace him though. That I don't know.
That's the key. If you're getting rid of him, you need someone better than him, and who's better than him at this?
That's where it does get tough.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I think both of you are correct. I think he's not the man for the job, but at this point, I don't think there's anyone better at the job than him. And we've seen that with a lot of these schools Maryland and Mike Loxley, for example, that have held on to their coach that they probably should let go because there's just not a better candidate available. But I will throw this out there. There's been a lot of rumors about Sark leaving Texas to go to the NFL. I think it's highly likely that we don't see Sark next year at Texas, but not because Texas lets him go, because he goes for greener pastures, because he may say, hey, I've done what I can here at Texas. I've reached that ceiling. And by the time Arch Manning's ready, middle of next season, you could be looking at another 3-loss Texas team next year by the time he's up to speed. And they're not going to settle for that. They're going to can him. So he's going to say, hey, I'm going to leave while the grass is green here and go across the street to the NFL, where a team like the Tennessee Titans, you can't tell me the Titans don't want to throw the bag at Steve Sarkisian to have him as a head coach.
Man, if the Texas job becomes open, that throws a wrench into everything possibly. Bill, before we get into more of the coaching stuff, anything you want to talk about from last week?
I think the biggest thing that I want to mention is we have to have a conversation about Texas A&M, and not in a good way. That team looked defeated, flat. I mean, flatter than a bicycle tire in that first half against South Carolina. And the only reason they're still in this thing is because of Marcel Reed leading them back, with South Carolina making a few mistakes. If I am a fan at Kyle Field right now, I am absolutely unequivocally concerned about, number one, making it to the SEC championship game, because that final game on the road against Texas, this is a Texas team that's probably out of the playoffs at this point and is going to be playing dangerous with nothing to lose.
However, they also, I mean, the committee gave them hope, and we'll talk about it a little bit. I mean, they're not completely dead, that they're going to get the most motivated Texas team that Texas has been all year. Because if you win that game and you win that impressively, you never know what happens with where the dominoes are going to fall.
Bingo. And now you're telling me I've got to play that in Texas, in Austin, and I just struggled against a South Carolina team that's dead to rights, that still has a head coach that probably shouldn't. But again, it goes back to who you're going to get that's probably better than Shane Beamer with the buyout money you have to pay to him. I think of the top 4 teams that we typically talk about, the Ohio State, the Indiana, the Texas A&M, and then whoever you want to throw it for, Georgia, Texas Tech, I think Texas A&M is probably looking the most vulnerable right now, and is probably the most likely to not end up with a first-round bye when it's all said and done.
My only pushback on that, and I agree, they did look pretty bad in that first half. Do you look at them the same way we talked about Indiana like 2 weeks ago when they struggled at Penn State? Or is it a completely different conversation with A&M?
I mean, if they beat Texas, I'm literally just going to look at them like they're Ohio State, because they will have a very similar mindset of Ohio State, where they beat Texas, and then who else did they beat? Everybody's heard about it this week, so I'm not going to beat the dead horse. But they've literally beat the bottom half of the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nobody above Missouri. Nobody above Missouri.
Yeah, and that Penn State team, everybody looks down on that game, but you have to remember that was a Penn State team that this season, most of their losses have been single score losses. They've been in every game, and the
committee made it clear that they still believe in A&M. Clearly,
yeah.
They didn't move them or anything. So, I think that Texas game is going to tell us a lot. If they can go and beat Texas, I mean, they still have a game this week. They still have to play Samford. Not saying they're going to lose to Samford. But we cannot count college football. You cannot count any game out. I'm not doing that.
That's true.
We've seen weirder things happen. I mean, Josh knows firsthand. Appalachian State beat
Michigan.
Michigan.
Knew you were going to. Why?
I just like to mess with these guys. It's fun. It's fun. But we need to move on, because we have. I don't, guys. We need to talk. We need to have a conversation here. These rumors around the coaches. The big one being Lane Kiffin, of course. What the hell is going on? Because if you look at every single fan's just chat boards, if you look at reporting, he's going to Florida. He's staying at Ole Miss. He's going to LSU. I don't know what's happening at this point. His family's possibly was touring Gainesville and Baton Rouge. I think they did. I don't know why they would need to tour Gainesville when his ex-wife is from the area, but they did apparently. Right. Kiffin is going back and forth with the Mississippi reporters, basically being like, I'm not telling you anything. And they're like, well, can you give us something? Like, are you leaning one way? Are you even considering? He's like, I'm not talking about jobs. It's getting a little testy out there in Oxford. What do you guys make of this? Because I have my opinions, being obviously an LSU fan. But Josh, I'm going to let you start with this. What do you make of this whole Lane Kiffin mess? And is he worth it? That is the real question. Is he worth all of this?
First off, I don't think so. I know that sounds crazy because Lane is top 5, definitely top 8, probably top 5 coach right now in college football. But the joke has always been the Lane train falls off eventually. We're not talking about Kirby Smart. We're not even talking about Dabo Swinney, who has multiple national championships. We're talking about a guy who also has been at Tennessee. Things were obviously a nightmare situation there. Went to the NFL, didn't go well there. And he talks about how Ole Miss was life-changing for him. It got him out of the limelight, but he was able to do things. I think he needs to stay at Ole Miss. I've come more to the conclusion, more I look into things, I think Ole Miss is a good spot for him. Can he win a national championship there? I don't know. And that's probably what's going to drive him crazy because he wants to be a historic name. He wants to be his name up there with his mentor of Pete Carroll and Nick Saban and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And everybody needs to take a step back. And if they don't get him, don't kill your next coach. Because let's remember what happened at case in point in the SEC. Team perfectly to talk about was Texas A&M. Texas A&M had to deal with Stoops. Fans went crazy. They obviously got rid of Stoops, and then they turned around and got why can I not think of his name? I want to say Elko, right? No.
Yep.
Okay, Elko, yeah. From Duke. And I even laughed about it. And now they're the number 3 team in the country. So let's not kill the next coach who goes where. Let's see what happens and all the dominoes fall in places. But I think Lane Train stays in Ole Miss when it's all said and done. And LSU and Florida got to go looking elsewhere.
Bill, same question. What do you make of this, and is he worth all the hype?
I think we have to have the conversation that this is just who Lane is. He wants to be the belle of the ball. He is a big egomaniac guy. It's the reason that Al Davis fired him on the tarmac. It's the reason that Nick Saban dismissed him from Alabama. This is just who he is. This is his ego saying, I am the belle of the ball and all the teams want me. But if you're a team that wants to bring that on board, you also have to understand every single place he's been has had a messy breakup behind it. So you're going to get a few good years out of it. So if you're LSU or you're Florida, are you going to be willing to put up with a messy breakup 3 years down the line to get a good play, probably one of the best play callers in all of college football right now? I truly do believe that he is going to land in Baton Rouge because as crazy as it sounds, Lane loves drama, and there is not a higher profile job that you can win a national title at right now that is full of drama than Baton Rouge. And LSU Tiger fans can come at me for that, but when you have your governor getting involved in decisions, right, that is Lane's perfect job, because then he can go in there and say, hey, look, make all the drama about me. I left my team hanging high and dry in the playoff, but I'm here to lead you a national championship. I think he ends up at LSU. I think as much as he would love to stay in Oxford, I think he has to realize that he's kind of hit the ceiling of where Oxford's going to be able to go. This is not going to be a top 3 job ever when you have the LSUs, the Floridas, the USCs, the Penn States hanging over the horizon.
Josh, did you want to?
I just want to ask.
Before I go.
Yeah, I just want to ask a very dumb question, and it was about the guy we talked about beforehand. If Sark leaves Texas, would Arch follow and go home to Louisiana?
I could see it.
Or is that too much pressure? Because that's part of the reason why he left. He doesn't want to admit that. But that's a lot on your shoulder.
I think he wants to embrace the pressure in a way.
Yeah.
He wants to take over that name rather than have him be in the shadow of Eli or Peyton or whoever.
Oh, winning a national title at LSU would get you that name.
Very much so.
The only reason I say no is because of how big his grandfather's name, Archie, is in the state of Louisiana. I would say no, but I will say this. If Sark leaves, do you guys remember who the number 2 team was on Arch Manning's board during his recruiting run? They just waxed him. It was Georgia.
Oh, you're right.
And you mean to tell me that you wouldn't want to get revenge on the guy who left you high and dry in Austin?
I mean, that would be Man, see, that's the thing with these coaching carousel. There's so many dominoes that could just play into everything. It's not just coach goes here. It's this coach goes here, and then that's going to open this up, and then this other coach is. It's wild to me.
It's the transfer portal. Bill talked about it when we were talking about the Sam Levitt, and we put our article out. It's not only the carousel. It's going to be the transfer portal that follows with it. Penn State lost 17 commitments, and there's rumor all 17 are headed to Virginia Tech. Maybe not all of them, but there's a good chance a lot of them are Colin Franklin there.
Yeah. I think I agree with you, Bill. I think that Kiffin has reached the ceiling at Ole Miss. Because here's the thing. This is the best team he's had, clearly. And I don't think that this team can win a championship. Ole Miss with Kiffin, has built their team basically with the transfer portal. And you can win with that, but you also need to recruit high school players. And he has not done the greatest with that. But where can you go where you really don't have to do a lot to win the high school players, to win the players in the state? There's one place and one place only, and it's Baton Rouge. Because, and this is coming from someone who I will be on record, I don't know if I want Lane Kiffin as the LSU coach. He's a little messy, and I don't know if I want that after the whole Brian Kelly thing. But then on the flip side, I think he is the best coach for LSU. If that makes any sense. I don't want him there, but I think he's the best for them. Because the resources that LSU has, I think Lane Kiffin could maximize everything with him, with this school. Because, as you said, he's crazy. One of the craziest places in college football is Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He wants that pressure. He wants that stake to win, right? And the SEC is the grandest stage in college football. I don't care that the Big Ten has won championships the last couple of years. The SEC is still the grand stage of college football. And if you find success in the SEC, you're going to be a legend, basically. If you win at a top-tier SEC school, you're going to be a legend in the sport. And I know the whole messy breakup thing. But the problem with that, where else could he really go? If, let's say, he goes to LSU, where else could he really go that's higher than LSU? Other than maybe in Ohio State. And I don't think Ryan Day is leaving Ohio State anytime soon.
For him in his mind, Alabama. He's just
I don't know he doesn't fit Alabama to me. To me, at least. I don't get that personality with Bama.
If he could be that guy who also brings a title to Alabama, he would be able to go back to Saban and be like, I told you I could still do it. You know what I mean? It'd be like
but does he want to be in Saban's shadow, though? Anyone in Alabama now, you are in Nick Saban's shadow. That is the problem.
It was part of the thing I wanted to bring up with this coaching carousel, rumors, everything else. I forget which podcast it was I was listening to, but they were talking about Kellen DeBoer and whether he should be back on the hot seat or not. I think it's the same situation we talked about at Texas. If you fire DeBoer, who are you hiring that's better? The man just lost his second game. I get it. Last year wasn't as good, but he still doesn't even have his full team there. And Alabama fans were so spoiled by Nick Saban. And the money bags that weren't magically found, but have been found by other coaches who have coached there and went on to coach elsewhere. No big deal. But anyway, that all being said, I just don't just take a step back, take a deep breath. You barely lost that game. I got the upset about the Florida State game. You had no business losing that game. Alabama doesn't lose that game. But you have looked so much better, and you ran a gauntlet. Oklahoma just caught you, and that's okay. You still have the entire year or season ahead of you because you might still be playing in the SEC championship if Texas A&M loses to Texas.
They very well will be. I think they have a 70-something% chance or something like that.
They just have to win out. Now, mind you, they got to go to Auburn at night for the first time.
If they lose to Auburn, then the coaching talk might ramp up again.
Yes.
Because you can't lose to Auburn. You can't lose to Florida State. If you do, okay, fine. You cannot lose to Auburn. That is the one game you cannot lose.
If they lose to Auburn, there's a very good chance that Alabama job is open by the end of that weekend.
Yeah. Well, the crazy part is in all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kiffin, I'm just thinking Kiffin, DeBoer, all this, right? There's going to be one or two schools that don't have to go somewhere else. Kiffin can't go everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I know, if let's say he stays at Ole Miss, right? both LSU and Florida have to find someone else. If he goes to one of them, now Ole Miss has to find a new coach. Auburn's still looking for a new coach. Penn State's still looking for a new coach. UCLA still needs a new coach. It's so this cycle is something we've never seen before. And I don't know. It's going to be wild. I just have one question before we move on with the Kiffin stuff, because this has obviously been dominating everything. And do you guys believe the ultimatum thing? Because Kiffin said it's not true, but then there's been multiple reporters that said it was.
I don't think Mississippi State's the ultimatum, but I do think they're going to want to know by the playoff game. Like, you need to let us know whether we need to plan for the next step of who's there, specifically because, as Bill mentioned, there's a coach that is a very good chance that they already want, whether it's I think it could be Levy from Mississippi State, which, boy, oh boy, that would make the rivalry heat up a little bit. He was all former offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, and then Summerall, who was the linebacker coach there in 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So he has a connection to Ole Miss.
Joe Judge would likely take over for the playoffs, I believe.
Yep. I don't think it's necessarily an ultimatum of, hey, you have to tell us what you're doing. I think there's probably a contract extension sitting on the desk, and it's like, hey, here's your contract extension to stay with us for the next X number of years and X number of dollars. And it's still waiting on a signature or Lane to push it back across the table.
I feel like if you're Ole Miss at this point, it's really hard to bring him back after all of this, because every year it's just going to be him, flirting with another team.
I mean, it's been that way. It's not as bad as this year.
That's my point, though. Like, I know he's a good coach. He's obviously gotten you really high into the rankings this year. But at some point, you got to say, hey, you got to stop. Like, you can't do this anymore. We can't do this. That's exactly why I think he leaves. I don't know if he goes to LSU. I think he ends up there because, I don't know, Florida has lost its appeal, in my opinion. It's not the same as it was. And if you're going to leave a place where he is called like the happiest of his life, you're going to take the biggest swing possible. And Florida, to me, does not seem like the big swing. The LSU job seems like the big swing.
And if we're talking the carousel, can I just talk about a conference that needs to have a carousel but is not, apparently? Why is Michigan State, Wisconsin, Maryland all bringing back their coaches? What are we doing here? Like, the bottom of the SEC takes things totally different. So yeah, it does mean more. I have lost so much respect for the Big Ten and their little situation of how they want to change the game and they're money hungry and this and that when they can't get coaches to do their damn jobs. Wisconsin, folks, is no longer Wisconsin. Luke Fickell has completely taken that identity of the most they were 9-3, they were 10-2. They were never going to be national championship contenders. I'm sorry, Wisconsin. It was never going to happen. The one year it could have been was Russell Wilson, and it still didn't happen that year. But at least you had an identity. At least there was that effort of, and that's what Penn State needs to be careful of, by the way, because they could be falling in the same exact track if they don't get the right coach, which suddenly they've gone very quiet on the coaching part. But I do find it interesting that Dylan Raiola's brother decommitted from Nebraska despite having only 2 scholarship offers to Charlotte and Appalachian State, and was like, oh no, Nebraska's not good enough for me. After talking to Coach Rule that weekend, just gonna throw it out there. Just keep an eye on that.
I think once Kiffin makes his decision, we're going to see a floodgate of coaches. Yep. Because that's going to set everything in motion.
I agree. But the Big Ten is a joke. I cannot take the Big Ten seriously right now. Nobody's taking it.
That's why I'm saying the SEC is still the grand stage of college football, because even the bottom of the SEC, it's like, if you aren't winning, you're out. Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at Auburn. Auburn said we'd had enough.
Exactly.
When Maryland announced they were bringing their coach back, I was just like, okay, I get they want to try to keep Malik Washington and they're going to try to put more of the NIL offer there. But you had a guy who we're talking about, James Franklin. James Franklin would have been perfect for Maryland. And you don't think that little motivation of, hey, you can beat Penn State every year? You can steal their recruits and beat up on Penn State every single year?
He's already stealing their recruits at this point.
Yeah, but the Big Ten needs to do better. I am very disappointed as a Big Ten guy.
I agree. And this coaching carousel is going to continue, and we're going to be talking about it. Hopefully by the time next week's show comes, Kiffin's made a decision. The Egg Bowl is next week, so we're gonna see. But we got to move on. We got to talk about the games that are happening this week and some of the other stuff. We got our Heisman podium here. Josh.
Okay,
Josh made us a little design here.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than a podium right now. These are like the Vegas top. I guess now it was top 10, but I think I cut it down to 8, 9. I can't do the math. But the gentleman at the back end underneath my end right there, Mr. Bill needs to talk about that guy because he made the podium of Bills as number 3. And I think it's only because it's a defensive player scoring an offensive touchdown that automatically makes you a Heisman contender. I think that's the rules around here now after Ashton Genty was his stolen and all. But that list, in my opinion, still, we're now down to 2.
Yeah. I think Ty Simpson hurt his chances.
Sanders, Mendoza. The whole Marcel Reed still having a chance thing, I'm not on board on that just because you shouldn't get credit when you're down 27.
He came back and won, though. So we have to give him credit there.
God damn it. It's all about moments, and I get it.
That was a moment. He saved his team's season. That was a moment. You want to talk about a moment?
Didn't he throw 2 interceptions in the first half also, though, to put them in this situation of being down 27?
Okay. So
why is Julian saying and Mendoza being punished? Because they're just beating the hell out of everybody. Bill, let's talk about your boy, though, over at Texas Tech.
Listen, Jacob Rodriguez is not getting enough love, and I get it. It's the Heisman. It's an offensive position, yada, yada, yada. Do you guys remember the last time a linebacker finished second in the Heisman voting?
Teo.
Yep.
It was Manti Te'o.
Yep.
And Jacob Rodriguez.
Yeah, I was just going to say
and his imaginary girlfriend. And you know what? Jacob Rodriguez, let's throw some numbers at it because everybody loves to talk about numbers. 97 tackles, 1 sack, 7 forced fumbles, 2 recoveries, 4 interceptions, 6 pass deflections, and a rushing touchdown. This guy has more turnovers than some of the FBS teams do by himself. And I get it. It's an offensive award. I get it. It's a quarterback-driven league. It's an offensive award. But if I remember correctly, the Heisman Trophy should be given to the player who makes the most impact for their team. You take Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech, and they're still a really decent team. But you put Jacob Rodriguez on a team that's struggling on defense and say, hey, here's 100 tackles. Here's 7 forced fumbles. Here's 4 interceptions. Here's a rushing touchdown. And watch that defensive team flourish. He's number 3 on my podium. It's going to take another Herculean effort to get him into that top 2, but I think he needs to be in New York. I think there is no doubt in my mind that if he's not in New York, and Heisman voters, I'm looking at you right now, so keep your eyes here. If he's not in New York, what are we even doing here?
Him and Jeremiah love both.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of players that you can make a case for this year. It's not just quarterbacks, and that's the beauty of it. And I love it because I'm sick of the quarterback winning it every year. Obviously, quarterback did not win it last year, but I'm tired of quarterbacks winning every single year for the most part.
But Mendoza deserves it. If IU runs the table,
yeah, I mean Mendoza at this point, I think Mendoza it's his to lose at this point.
Yes,
he still has a couple games to show.
It literally will come down to next Saturday and what Sayan does to Michigan and Ann Arbor. If he breaks that streak and brings a win, that apparently the game doesn't matter anymore. I promise you it matters to us Michigan fans, but Ohio fans will tell me it doesn't matter. But
it doesn't. But we will talk about that. We will talk about that. We need to just quickly go through the bracket here, and then we'll actually get to the games. But Josh, you want to talk about the bracket really quick?
Yep. So the Buckeyes stayed at number 1, Indiana 2, A&M 3, Georgia 4 now. 5-12 matchup. I don't know why Utah's 12. That was a mess up on my part. That should be Texas Tech and Tulane, who is number 24. 7-10 is Oregon, Alabama, Ole Miss, BYU, Oklahoma. None of this is right. That I messed up. That's on me.
Oregon, Alabama would be a hell of a first round game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we just all take a second to think what that means? That means that the Crimson Tide would be going to Eugene, Oregon to play a playoff game.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see it because that stadium is arguably one of the best in college football, and we would get to see Ty Simpson and that team go on the road like they were in week 1 and see what the hell they could do.
If you can pull that back up, though, I do want to just point out the top 25 on the left-hand side. Just a mindset of that. Well, why is okay? Yep, no, that's not even right anyway. Ignore that. I don't know what just happened there. My apologies, everyone at home. 17 Texas almost seems dead, and then your precious Vanderbilt also seems dead now at 14.
Yeah,
with what's all ahead of them, because if USC wins, they will jump them. Georgia Tech and Virginia are set for the ACC, so they'll clearly jump Miami. But Utah, who again beat the hell out of Baylor, I have a hard time thinking Utah shouldn't be ahead of BYU if head-to-head doesn't matter anymore, folks. Because Utah has beaten everybody in front of them, and they lost to BYU by 3 at BYU. So if you're telling me that Miami win didn't matter when they played Notre Dame, why does a BYU win at home over Utah matter? And you guys want to explain that to me?
I don't know. I mean, the committee has made it clear that they love Miami. They love Notre Dame. That's just part of what they're doing. Every year they have those favorites. You know, we've seen that. And I agree. I agree with you. But Bill, anything? Because I have one team that's on here that I'm very shocked at, but we need to talk about. But Bill, anything you want to address here?
I think the biggest one is I will continue to pound the table until they prove me wrong or I'm blue in the face that North Texas needs to be the group of 5 champion, because I get it. James Madison's having a better season, and I get it that Tulane probably looks a little bit better on paper. But if you wanted to tell me that an offense by North Texas gets in as the 12 seed, and then they end up playing Texas Tech in a shootout, or they end up going to Georgia and playing Georgia, or even better yet, let's say the Ducks win and let's send North Texas to Austin. You want fireworks from a 5-12 matchup and want it to stop feeling like just an easy win for the 5 seed? Get a team that's offensively moving the ball at the clip that North Texas is, and stop going with the easy American team in Tulane or other teams like that, because I don't see it. But also, I will say this too. I think we have to have the conversation that whoever the ACC champion is has no shot to get out of the first round. Whether it's Miami, whether it's Georgia Tech, which I'll touch on in a little bit, or
I think
whoever
Miami
else
could do
it could be.
I want to contradict that. I think the way the bracket works right now, Miami would get Ole Miss in the first round.
I think Miami's the only one that could do it.
And then they get Texas A&M, and then they get the winner of Alabama, Oregon, Indiana. I'll tell you right now, looking at the bracket right now, Miami would be in my national championship game.
In Miami.
Think about that coming from
in Miami.
Me.
In Miami, mind you. That would be a fun. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah.
I
am not done with this Hurricane team yet.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I don't know
is too good.
What it is, but I'll tell you what, they are beneficiaries of there being a committee rather than the standard BCS, because somebody who is a lot better with numbers than me went through the BCS, and technically, if the BCS still existed, Vanderbilt and USC would be above Miami, who would be sitting in the 15. And then the other opposite ones is Ole Miss and Oregon would be ahead of Texas. That was the big ones that pointed out Texas Tech pointed out to me. But Miami, as you mentioned, the committee loves them, and they are giving them a little credit for the Notre Dame win. And that's why I think if they win out, Miami will get in some way, somehow, as that last team.
See it. I can see it too. And, before we get into the games, there is a team that I want to highlight because they have been playing very well. And that's the Houston Cougars. They are very much alive in this Big 12 race. I don't know if you guys have looked at it. They are very much alive in the Big 12. If BYU were to lose this weekend.
I mean, if.
Okay, whatever. And you literally, they are literally They are literally tied with Utah conference wise. Overall, they're one game behind BYU. 5-0 on the road for the season. Like they are still alive to make the playoff, and they have, I believe it's TCU and Baylor maybe to end the year. Mm-hmm. All they need is a slip up or two from another team, and I think they can make the Big 12 championship game. And at that point, who knows what the hell's going to happen?
Ain't nobody beating Tech in the Big 12.
We say that, but we don't know what's going to happen.
Utah is the only team I think that can beat Tech in the Big 12.
I think if a hot Houston team goes, I don't know. I'm not going to count out Houston.
Tech already waxed Houston earlier this season, 35-11. I don't see
revenge.
That's where Utah would fall. That's why I'm like,
I'm just saying, let's just not count them out to at least get to the game.
Well, I think they're going to lose this weekend.
I think they get there.
Brought them up.
I think they could easily get there. They obviously need BYU to lose this weekend, but I think Houston has a chance, and that's crazy to talk about from just a couple weeks ago. Houston legitimately has a chance to make the college football playoff potentially. Obviously, they would need to win the Big 12 title game, but that's besides the point. But that was the team I wanted to highlight here. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we actually get into these games?
Let's talk about these games.
Let's talk about these games because we got to talk about them. There's some big games going on here. This weekend, they may not be the most exciting per se, right? But they're going to be fun. They're going to be funny ones. We're going to start with Pitt taking on Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is almost a lock to make the ACC title game, I believe. I think they just need a win or something like that. Them and Virginia are like on a crash course to basically make it. Josh, I'm going to start with you. Are you taking Pitt or Georgia Tech in this one?
I'm going to take Karma getting Pitt and Georgia Tech just wrecking them in Atlanta. I cannot let go of what Pitt's coach said last week about the Notre Dame game, which, by the way, they lost in a BTA, 37-11 to Notre Dame, but the game didn't matter. No, the game mattered because you're no longer in the top 25, and now you need help to get to the ACC championship game. That game could have got you into the playoff. You're an idiot, Narduzzi. So give me the Tech and a coach that actually believes in winning and believes in his school, literally his school, and Brent Keys and Georgia Tech. Haynes King finds his way to New York City after this one.
I'm going to go with Georgia Tech also. They had a little bit of a struggle last week, but they found a way to win the game. I agree. I'm not sold on Pitt any longer after the comments from Narduzzi. They just rubbed me the wrong way also. Give me the Yellow Jackets. I think they win easily. It's not going to be close. Bill, I might be wrong, but I think I know where you're going with this. We're not getting a sweep here, are we?
We are not, because if you guys remember, there was a segment we normally do every week that we may have missed in my fraud of the week, and it's in this game. My fraud of the week is here, folks. Listen, when you trail 28-17 to a 1-9 Boston College team, you lost to a 5-4 NC State team by 12. You only led Duke by 3 until the fourth quarter. It took overtime to beat Wake Forest. You won by 3 in your best win against Clemson, who has fallen off the rails. Your next 2 games after this one, your next game after this one, the next 2 are Pitt and Georgia. And after Georgia's blowout, I don't see you getting past them. But that's before Mason Heinzel takes them to town. Give me Pitt on the road to knock out Georgia Tech. And the biggest reason, when you're 105th in the FBS in defense, what are you doing? You can't stop anybody. The reason Haynes King has to have these heroic games is because your defense couldn't stop a nosebleed if you give him a box of Kleenexes. Give me
all Pitt. I'm going to say is we both picked against Pitt last week, Josh, and he was wrong. So
I'm saying, I thought he would have learned his lesson picking.
Yeah, Bill, I'll tell you this: Pitt was dead to me in the beginning of the year. And I made the mistake of going with Duke again that one year, like 2 weeks ago, and it bit me again. I'm not doing it again. It's going to bite you again. I'm sorry, but I don't think Pitt wins this game. But you know what? That's the beauty of it. We're gonna find out.
By the way, I don't think they will because the type of players they are. But if I'm Georgia Tech and I do win this game, I'm throwing the Georgia game. I'm benching my players. I am not playing Haynes King in that game. Because that game does not matter to your season. You are in the ACC championship game. You win, you're in. Won't matter whatsoever.
But if you beat Georgia, you're guaranteed. I don't know. You're kind of guaranteed to get in, even if you lose the ACC championship game.
No.
I think so. If they take down Georgia, if they were to beat Pitt and take down Georgia, even if they go into the ACC title game and lose, I think the committee puts them in because they beat Georgia.
They're not putting 3 ACC teams in.
If you beat, I'm telling you, Georgia, the committee loves Georgia.
Yeah, they wouldn't get 3 at that point. It would be 2. It would be Pitt and whoever the ACC champ is.
Well, we just talked about how much they love Miami. That's all I'm saying.
But Miami didn't beat Georgia. That's the difference. That right there.
They beat Notre Dame.
We have to, whatever. We don't care about Notre Dame. We got to move on. We have Louisville with an awesome old school logo here taking on SMU. Josh, I'm going back to you first. Are you taking Louisville or are you taking SMU?
I want to take the Cards so bad. I have believed in this team, and they let me down last week.
Do it again.
How did they lose to Clemson? I still don't understand this.
Because Dabo is the GOAT.
Dabo changed his mindset about leaving Clemson. If you listen to his post-game press conference on the field, boy, does it sound like he loves Clemson and doesn't want to leave there anymore. But I'm going to go ahead and trust my gut here. I'm going to take the Cards. I'm going to take the better coach. I'm going to take the better quarterback. I'm going to take the better offense to go into Dallas and ruin SMU season and end it there, which should technically be over because they're lost.
For the first time in weeks, he stuck to his word. Look at this. It's a miracle. But Bill, are you taking Louisville as well? Or are you going with SMU?
I'm going SMU. And the reason I'm going SMU is this team is top 6 in the country in forcing turnovers with a plus 11 turnover margin. And the one thing that Louisville will struggle with is when they force a turnover, you're now giving that SMU offense a short field, which is top 20 in the nation in passing. Yes, they struggle rushing the ball. But if I give a short field to an offense that is clearly excellent at throwing the ball, it's going to turn into a shootout. And as much as I love Miller Moss and Chris Bell, they don't have the bullets to keep up in a good old-fashioned Dallas shootout at the OK Corral. Give me SMU in this one.
Thank you, Bill. Because I'm going with SMU too. Josh, right there. That's one game that might separate us. So SMU, I think SMU is going to get it done. I don't trust Miller Moss any longer. I just can't. I've watched him play too many times. I can't do it. I can't put my faith in him.
You want to talk about a guy who said, "Oh, we need a change in culture." Well, you might be part of that culture getting changed and told, "Hey, you need to go elsewhere. We got another quarterback coming in." Because we talk North Texas, Bill. Mestamaker, I think Brom could do some things with him. Just saying.
Yeah, yeah. We'll talk more about that.
Of course.
We'll talk more about that. But look, we already have a pick against each other. So next up, BYU taking on Cincinnati. Josh, we all know where you're going with this. Probably, I assume. Josh,
yeah, I'm going to tell you now. It's Saturday. It's Saturday night in Cincinnati.
That means absolutely nothing. That means nothing.
Ain't nobody coming in the Nippert Stadium. 38,000 fans losing their mind from Utah. They ain't ever been in here. They've never experienced it. You ain't walking into the Nip and walking out with a W. Give me the Bearcats to keep their Big 12
apparently that's what it's called now.
Alive. Big 12 championship hopes alive. Liam, the hair's not safe yet, buddy. It's not safe yet. Give me the Bearcats.
Bill, are you taking them to go into the Nip and win? Or are you going to let the Nip decide this game?
Correct me if I'm wrong, which I frequently am. Didn't Arizona, a significantly weaker team than BYU, go into the Nip last week and win?
I'm pretty sure.
Wasn't that night?
Mistaken.
Wasn't that night?
The sun goes down, and all of a sudden Cincinnati figures it out. Got it. Wanted to make sure we clarified there. BYU is 12th in the nation in forcing turnovers with a +8 turnover margin. BYU ranks 13th in defensive third down percentage, allowing opponents to convert 31% of the time. They are going to force 3 and outs. Sorsby is going to have a rough night because you and I both agree, Josh, Sorsby did not have the best night the past couple of weeks.
Understatement.
Give me BYU close. I'm taking BYU by a field goal, but I'm taking BYU to knock off Cincinnati.
I'm torn with this, guys, because everything's telling me to take BYU. Just everything is pointing to BYU.
Do it.
But I'm going to go with the Bearcats.
Oh!
I'm going with Cincy. I'm going to rep my NFL fandom here. Cincy, I need you to win this game. Here's my thing with BYU. I think they're a very good team. They have yet to show me they can win that game. If they win this game, I will feel a little more confident. I know Cincinnati struggled a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I also want Cincy to win just to put a little pressure on Liam to shave his head.
I mean,
so,
it will be alive and well, and they will
be alive and well.
They,
I'm gonna go with Cincy. I'm going with Josh on this one. I think Cincinnati bounces back after a couple bad weeks, and I think they knock BYU basically pretty much out of the contention.
They're due for a win in this big game because they're also
it's
not bad.
I don't think Cincy drops 3 in a row. That's where I'm at this point. I really don't see it.
Storm in the field Saturday night.
The nip will be alive and well. Apparently,
it will be.
But we're gonna move on. No more nip talk here. Tennessee and Florida. This one's interesting because it's in the swamp, and I don't care how bad Florida is, how bad they've been. The swamp is still a pretty hostile place to play. I mean, it just is. Bill, I'm going to go to you first since I've gone to Josh a couple times. Are you taking the Gators, or are you going to go with the Volunteers to keep their season alive for the most part?
I am going with the Volunteers, and I'm going to make a prediction I probably will regret. This game is going to be over by halftime. I've got the Volunteers absolutely waxing the Gators in the swamp. Because here's the thing. The first big thing, the Gators have 17 players right now on their injury report, 15 of which are listed as out. You couldn't tell me who's playing for the Gators at this point. Not to mention, you look at this Gators team, they rank 64th in overall yardage on defense allowed, 75th in passing defense allowed, 62nd in scoring defense allowed. Well, what's the easy way to fix that? Oh, I don't know. Why don't we go up against the Tennessee offense, who's averaging almost 500 yards a game, second in the nation? This is going to be a rout early. And then by the time you throw in Florida having a 41% third down conversion, which ranks 97th in the nation, this game is going to be over by halftime. Give me the Vols to hurt the Gators and to start the coaching search even earlier.
Yeah, I agree. This is not going to be close. I think the Vols take this one. Sorry, Gator fans. You can keep looking for your coach. So Tennessee's got it. Tennessee kind of stays alive, somewhat. I don't know. The committee's weird, so who knows? But Josh, are you going with Tennessee? Or are you going with the Gators?
No, I'm taking the
Vols.
I'll bring the brooms. Take the Vols. Bill said it best. There's too many injuries, and the Florida momentum kind of died. They played tough. They played their heart out. They got that Texas win and a great story. But DJ Lagway is already just trying to figure out where he's going to head towards the portal and everything else.
Yeah.
So give me the Vols to roll and set up a top 25 matchup next week in Neyland Stadium, Vanderbilt and Tennessee.
Josh is just trying to make it so there's only one game between us, so we have to not tie at the end of the week.
Hey, you're the one who didn't take BYU. That's your
fair enough. Okay, well, we're fair enough. All right, Missouri heads to face off against Oklahoma, who's coming off the win against Alabama, and like I said earlier, they got a trap game next week. Josh, are you sticking with your Sooners?
Yeah, I've already watched a true freshman walk into Oklahoma and try to win. It's not going to work out well. Give me the Sooners.
Yeah, Sooners. I'm sorry. That win against Alabama propels them, and we'll talk about them next week because I have some thoughts about next week's game. But for this week, I think Oklahoma keeps their title chances alive. So Boomer Sooner. Bill, clean sweep here? Or are you taking the Tigers? Because I know you like to shock people with things like this.
I do like to shock things with people, and I'll say this. I'm taking the Sooners, but it's going to take all 4 quarters to get there because I think Boomer Sooner is going to be very focused on next week's matchup with LSU. I think this game is going to go deep into the 4th quarter.
I can see it. Missouri has shown itself to be a feisty team, regardless of the injuries and everything. And Oklahoma, they might be a little high off of that win, thinking they're a little invincible. So we'll see. It's going to be a fun one.
It is a letdown spot. A nice little Big 12 former rivalry. If this was in Missouri, I'd give them more of a chance. But
same.
In Oklahoma, they're not losing in front of those fans.
I don't think so. At least not yet. But we'll talk about that. We got one more game, and this game can literally determine so much with the playoff because it can even determine some of the coaching candidates everywhere, and that is the USC Trojans taking on the Oregon Ducks in Autzen Stadium. USC got its big win last week against Iowa, setting this game up. We were talking earlier offline. I said this game gives me 2011 vibes. And for anybody that doesn't remember, in 2011, the USC Trojans went into Autzen and won the game on a last-second field goal. No, Oregon missed the field goal. That would have tied it, I believe, or something like that. Something happened. I just know USC won. I remember I was watching with a bunch of Oregon fans, and I was very stressed. It was not fun. It's going to be a good one because this game can determine a lot. It can determine the playoff. It can determine the Big Ten. It can determine Lincoln Riley potentially staying or leaving at USC. Josh, I'm looking at you first.
Of course you are.
Putting all the pressure on you. USC or Oregon?
I'm going to take Oregon. The lean is because it's a home game. I know the 3:30 start doesn't give you that atmosphere and love and friendly, hostile environment, but the fans will still be there. Obviously, they're going to be super motivated. This is one of those win and they're probably in kind of situations. It's their biggest test since Indiana.
Yeah.
At home, give me the Ducks to keep it rolling, but I will open limit. I think it's off of like a late second field goal, or Oregon has the ball last and goes down and like scores a touchdown. Last team to score field, as you guys mentioned, but I'm gonna take the Ducks. Should also be noted, Lincoln Riley has struggled at USC on the road versus top 10 teams. I want to say he's like 0-7 since his time has gone there. He has not won a road game versus a top 10 team. So
noted. Bill, are you taking USC or are you sticking with the Ducks? Because you have been anti-Ducks the last few weeks.
I have been anti-Ducks the last few weeks. And I've gone back and forth with this all day. I will say this to start. The over right now for this game, 59.5. Hammer it. This game is going to be, I think it could be a higher scoring game than the 2011 matchup. I think both teams could hit 40 points. I really do. And just like Josh said, I think it comes down to whoever possesses the ball last to score that touchdown win. And that person is going to be Makai Lemon off of Jaden Mayava throw. Give me the Trojans to keep their Big Ten championship hopes alive, and I'm taking the Trojans on a last-second Makai Lemon touchdown.
You're inspiring me to pick the Trojans here, Bill.
I do want to emphasize they are 0-2 versus top 10. I apologize. 4-11 versus ranked opponents.
My one concern with the Trojans this year is they have been very good at home. They have been very bad on the road. Remind me where this game is, guys. Is this the Coliseum? No, it's not the Coliseum. I'm going to go with the Ducks. I think the Ducks are pissed off from that Indiana game, and I think they're about to take it out on USC. I'm not going to say they're going to blow them out, but I think they're going to win by at least 10. High scoring game. I think it could be like a 40-30 style situation. Ducks win, kills USC's chances. Lincoln Riley starts hearing his name in the rumors everywhere. I think the Ducks are the real deal. We talked about them weeks ago. Obviously, they lost to Indiana, but every team has a bad game. We saw it with Ohio State last year. I think this Oregon Ducks team can win the championship, and I think they're going to show it on Saturday.
You want to talk about a team that is definitely not going to get the bye, but they might get that rematch versus either A, Ohio State, or B versus Indiana, and they won't be a little bit extra motivated. Dan Lanning, who I would argue is the better coach of all three. Yeah, I said what I said, Buckeye fans. Oregon has never wanted Dan Lanning fired, but boy, oh boy, did you want Ryan Day fired 366 days ago. So, yeah, I agree. I think the extra motivation of Oregon to keep things going. And plus, let's be honest, I kind of need USC to lose a game. So,
yeah, okay. Well, that's not why I'm picking them, but you can pick them that way. But, Josh, we have, one disagreement?
Yeah, so we will not be tied next week. We will not be tied.
Unless there's somehow a tie, which I don't think is even possible in college football. So we will not be tied heading into the final week.
Watch that game get canceled.
Yeah, right. Just our luck. That would be something. But you guys, it's gonna be a fun week. It's gonna be a fun week, college football. We're gonna really see some of this stuff shake out. We're gonna see some of these teams fall out of the playoff hunt. Before we get out of here, any other messages? Any other thoughts you guys have?
I want to put one team on upset watch who we have already talked about. However, Miami is going to Virginia Tech on Saturday. It's a 12 o'clock start time, so it's not that nighttime in Blacksburg. But Franklin is going to be in the building. And when Franklin hits the 50-yard line and gets introduced as the new head coach, it's going to carry some energy into the stadium. And we all know Carson Beck tends to poop down his leg in some games. So just keep an eye on that being a little bit closer than the experts back.
Yeah.
I will throw one thing out there, and I know Josh kind of talked about him earlier, but I don't think it's going to be as big of an issue as people think. I'm putting the Fighting Illini on upset watch this week. I think Luke Fickell realizes he's coaching for his job, and we see a masterclass against Luke Altmaier, who, just making sure, this game's in Wisconsin, so it's on the road, so it's going to be a struggle. So I truly do believe Luke Altmaier is going to have a bad game against Wisconsin. Luke Fickell realizes that he's coaching for his life and somehow pulls out a win and just throws everything into chaos in the back end of the Big Ten.
Certain somebody wants.
I was literally about to bring up this game. I would be doing us a disservice if I did not talk about the Western Kentucky LSU matchup this weekend, which is going to be bragging rights for me and our guy Will at TWSN. Josh and I have talked about this. If LSU loses, I can't show my face any longer because it just wouldn't be good.
Yeah, it'll be me and Bill next week.
Yeah, I'll be hiding next week. But Will, I'm looking forward to a good game. I think it should be fun. I'm hopeful LSU doesn't lose that game. But
Tigers got it. Don't worry about it.
We'll see. I don't know. They've scored 24 points at the most this year. So I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. But it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun one. I'm sure I will be stressing watching the LSU team. Hopefully they don't give me too much stress, but that is okay. And next week we will not be tied, Josh. But we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will be here next week. Thursdays at 6 p.m.
Next week will be not Thursday because of the holiday.
Yeah, not next Thursday.
You try Tuesday
for Thanksgiving. We will not be here on Thanksgiving. We'll be giving thanks everywhere, not here. So we'll be thankful to be here on Tuesday.
Will's one goal on the year has been completed. We have mentioned Western Kentucky
all year long. Will has wanted us to talk about Western Kentucky. We have done it in one of our last shows of the regular season. So, but we want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will see you next week, probably on Tuesday. Thank you again. We will see you next time for another edition of the TWSN Tailgate Show. Thank you.